Do not set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. We learn about the importance of being generous, sharing, and acting with virtue to build a strong character. Stoicism teaches us to think clearly and thrive in life, regardless of circumstances. However, this doesn't mean that we should sacrifice ourselves, often setting ourselves on fire to warm others. Being always available, overly helpful, and seen as kind can be great for those receiving such generosity. But what about yourself? How do you feel when your generosity knows no bounds? In a world where we don't always receive what we offer, we encounter generous people who exhaust themselves in every way. The Stoic way of thinking has reshaped my life and provided emotional resilience. Therefore, I will share 7 situations resulting from excessive kindness and generosity, and how, in practice, we establish limits in our lives based on Stoic knowledge. Before we begin, I would like to thank you for clicking on this video. This was the first step on your journey to improve your life through Stoicism. If you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Statistics show that only 3% of my audience is subscribed to my channel, so if this content has helped you in any way, I ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. 1. Don't set yourself on fire to warm others. Stoics emphasize the importance of living in accordance with reason and virtue. These principles guide actions and decisions in the pursuit of a meaningful and ethical life. Setting boundaries in our relationships is crucial to maintain and preserve balance, avoiding compromising our authenticity and well-being for the sake of others. Sometimes, by reaching out or offering help without realizing it, we volunteer ourselves for suffering. This reminds me of a story that happened on a farm between the friendship of a horse and a donkey, and I would like to share it with you. One night, the horse confided in the donkey about the hardship of its routine. Tirelessly plowing from dawn to dusk, facing the heat of the day, leg fatigue and the harness hurting its neck. Meanwhile, the donkey enjoyed rest and had no major responsibilities, able to relax all day. The donkey, being a good friend, understood the horse. "My dear friend," he responded, "you indeed have a heavy workload and I would like to help. Here's what you can do to take a day off. In the morning, when the farmhand comes, lie down on the ground and let out the loudest groans you can so he thinks you're sick and unable to work." The horse followed the advice, and the next day the farmhand reported to the owner that the horse was sick and couldn't be used in the plough. The farmer then ordered the donkey to take over the task for the entire day. The donkey, who only wanted to help his companion, was forced to do the horse's work. That night, the donkey was exhausted and injured, while the rested horse wanted to thank him. "You are a good friend. Thanks to your advice, I could rest all day," said the horse. The donkey, lamenting, retorted, "I, on the other hand, am like many generous hearts who start by helping a friend and end up being forced to take on their tasks." Have you ever felt like the horse in your life? Share your story in the comments. It's crucial, as in the story, we often want to help someone so much that we spare no effort. Stoicism teaches us to practice self-reflection, meaning always questioning our immediate reactions and striving to live by reason. This process prevents impulsive actions, promoting choices aligned with our values. As Epictetus, one of the most well-known and wise Stoic philosophers, states in his discourses, "When you are about to start some task, stand for a moment and reflect on the nature of the task you are about to perform. You will do your task with greater security if, before you begin, you say to yourself, 'I want to accomplish this task, and at the same time, I want to keep my moral purpose in harmony with nature.'" Stoicism trains us for a new way of thinking, and the lesson here becomes clear. If you want to help a friend, do so in a way that their burdens are not placed on your shoulders. Stoics teach us to cultivate balanced relationships where both parties contribute fairly, and neither is sacrificed excessively. In summary, the maxim, "Don't set yourself on fire to warm others," aligns with Stoic principles of living rationally, cultivating balanced relationships, and avoiding excessive sacrifices that may compromise your integrity and well-being in all dimensions of your life. 2. Reciprocity has an expiration date. Giving your best without expecting anything in return is one of the purest forms of kindness, a principle deeply rooted in Stoicism. But let's be real, most of us, even when we don't openly admit it, hope for something in return. Whether it's appreciation, loyalty, or a similar act of kindness, we naturally expect some form of reciprocity. Here's the tough truth: reciprocity doesn't last forever. It has an expiration date. Even if someone is incredibly grateful at the time and assures you that they'll never forget your help, life has a way of dulling memories. Over time, many people completely forget what you've done for them, not out of malice, but simply because it's human nature. The real challenge arises when we build expectations around how others should act in return. We start believing that certain people will always have our back, no matter what. We assume that, just as we've gone out of our way for them, they'll go out of their way for us when the time comes. But when reality doesn't align with these expectations, the disappointment cuts deep. You feel hurt, unappreciated, and even betrayed. Stoicism teaches us that this pain doesn't come from others' actions. It comes from the expectations we create. When we expect others to mirror our generosity or loyalty, we set ourselves up for heartbreak. Epictetus, in his timeless wisdom, captured this perfectly in his discourses. There are two rules to keep ready: that there is nothing good or bad outside my own choice, and that we should not try to lead events but follow them. In simpler terms, we cannot control how others behave. What we can control, however, is how we react. Letting go of expectations allows us to embrace a deeper sense of peace and emotional freedom. Instead of placing your happiness in the hands of others, Stoicism teaches us to give from a place of inner strength, not out of a need for validation. It's about detaching yourself from the outcome and focusing on what you can control, your actions and your intentions. Of course, this doesn't mean you stop being generous. It means you give with the understanding that you might not always receive the same in return, and that's okay. True generosity lies in the act itself, not in the reaction it elicits. When you free yourself from expecting reciprocity, you shield yourself from disappointment. You start to give because it aligns with your values, not because you're hoping for acknowledgement. This kind of detached generosity is powerful. It brings inner peace and protects you from emotional turmoil. At the same time, it's important to set boundaries. Detaching from expectations doesn't mean allowing others to take advantage of you. Stoicism encourages balance. Give generously, but don't let your kindness become a source of self-sacrifice. So, the next time you offer your help, do it for the sake of the act itself. Focus on the joy of giving, knowing that your kindness reflects your character, not someone else's. Remember, reciprocity might have an expiration date, but the peace you gain from detaching yourself from expectations is timeless. As the Stoics remind us, true happiness comes from within, not from the validation of others. Let's strive to give freely, live authentically, and find contentment in the things we can control. 3. Received requests have no limits. If we go back a few centuries, we will see that some royalty had attendants to dress them, comb their hair, and perform basic personal hygiene tasks. This lack of sense and boundaries seems absurd to us today. However, looking at your own life within your day, how often do people ask you for favors that they could do for themselves? People naturally expect something from us. Stoicism helps us define limits and provides us with means to make them real in our lives. The practice of moderation, one of the Stoic virtues, becomes a guide amid numerous demands, help, and limitless requests. Stoicism advises us to balance our generosity instead of passively accepting unlimited requests and favors. By acting with moderation, we maintain control over our actions, avoiding patterns that wear down our emotional well-being. When we constantly take on others' responsibilities, we not only overwhelm ourselves, but also prevent others from growing and facing their challenges. This is evident in a story about a mother and her adult daughter in a small town. The mother, despite being elderly, lovingly cared for her sick daughter, preventing her from taking on her responsibilities. For years, the mother had been taking care of her sick daughter. The daughter depended on her mother for everything, and when she did get up, it was only for basic needs, as she never left her daughter alone. The mother always postponed her routine checkups and exams. Unfortunately, one day, the mother fell ill suddenly and passed away. This left many people concerned about the daughter's well-being now, without her mother's care. After her mother's death, the daughter surprised everyone by resuming her life normally, showing how excessive care, despite the good intentions and love involved, can hinder personal growth. This dilemma doesn't just affect others, but also ourselves. Constantly taking on others' responsibilities and neglecting your own needs imprisons you in a cycle of one-sided giving. In this dynamic, only one person is giving, while the other is only receiving. This pattern depletes your energy and undermines your emotional well-being completely. Practicing moderation in generosity, donating in a balanced manner, allows us to maintain control over our actions, avoiding habits that wear out our emotional balance. If we get used to giving constantly, those who benefit from our generosity may begin to expect and desire to receive more and more. Receivers have no limits. No matter how much you do, it will always seem insufficient. It is crucial to practice generosity, but it is also vital to establish clear boundaries and balance the way we offer help to preserve our peace and well-being. We encourage others to take on their own responsibilities and grow as individuals. Remember the wisdom of Emperor Marcus Aurelius when he shared these words in Meditations. A man's job is to stand upright, not to be kept upright by others. In this delicate balance, we discover true generosity that benefits both others and ourselves. Seneca, a renowned statesman, writer, and Stoic philosopher, left a significant legacy by sharing his wisdom through letters, including his reflections on friendship and genuine connection in relationships. In his words, he emphasizes, "He who begins to be your friend because of the benefit will also cease because of the benefit." A person attracted by some reward offered in exchange for their friendship will not remain if that benefit ceases. Seneca highlights the importance of cultivating true bonds devoid of external motivation. Being excessively generous can result in superficial connections motivated by specific interests, whether financial or something we can do or offer. Often, we condition our value on what we can offer and not on who we are, either out of fear of judgment, not wanting to displease, or not feeling deserving of something. Excessive generosity can often be a way to express this conditioning. In compensation, we end up expressing excessive gratitude and dedicating ourselves too much to others. Stoicism in practice emphasizes the importance of self-sufficiency and internal control, allowing us to build a solid foundation based on principles that do not align with this behavior. Our sense of value, worthiness, and satisfaction are internal feelings that must come from within. Therefore, we have to work on our self-esteem and belief in ourselves constantly. This dynamic is not limited to friendship, but extends to all aspects of our relationships, whether professional, personal, or social. Building connections driven by interests creates a fragile foundation that certainly does not withstand small changes or minor challenges. As Epictetus reminds us, in prosperity, it is very easy to find friends. In adversity, there is nothing more difficult. We must establish our relationships based on accepting who we are, including our flaws and qualities. In this way, we build connections that not only allow us to grow, but first and foremost, recognize and accept our true essence. Stoic principles encourage a more solid and authentic approach, where genuine connection develops from mutual understanding and respect for fundamental values. Your priorities take a back seat. The main goal of Stoicism is to live a life with virtue. To achieve this, it is necessary to constantly improve our character and learn to master our emotions, giving us direction to reach our best version. However, when we overload ourselves with others' responsibilities, we are heading in the opposite direction. It is crucial to establish limits in our relationships and prioritize our responsibilities to preserve balance and avoid compromising our authenticity and well-being for others. If you feel suffocated by others' priorities, it is possible that you are avoiding something internal that causes pain and fear. When we engage in others' responsibilities, we end up neglecting our own, leading to neglect of our own lives. In a way, it is easier not to face our internal limits and fears and to use this as a justification for the time we dedicate to others' priorities. However, the price of this incessant dedication is high. You lose yourself in the process and realize that your own life is being forgotten due to excessive concern with others' problems. Your inner voice is drowned out, and sooner or later, facing the quietude of your own being, the pain and fear you tried to avoid return with intensity. It is essential to recognize that attending to our own needs and priorities is not selfishness, but a form of self-care and preservation of authenticity. The Stoics teach us that setting limits and living in accordance with virtues is not only an act of self-love, but also a path to a meaningful life. Cicero, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, expressed this reality when he said, "Of all the days of our life, few are dedicated to ourselves." The next time you feel tempted to get lost in constant service to others, take a break. Acknowledge the uncomfortable emotions that arise in solitude and welcome them with compassion. Allow yourself to be authentic in your desires and needs. Establish healthy boundaries and learn to say no when necessary. You will find that by honoring your own authenticity, you not only enrich yourself internally, but also can offer balanced and genuine generosity to others. Therefore, it is essential to learn to distribute your time and knowledge efficiently, as well as understand the importance of putting on your own oxygen mask first. This way, you can help others more meaningfully without ignoring your own needs. You have now reached the halfway mark of the video. I congratulate you for trying to become a better version of yourself, and I also humbly ask you to leave a comment, as it helps my channel immensely. If you do not know what to comment, just write "mind over body" so I know you reached this far. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Now back to the video. Being seen and treated as fragile, Stoicism encourages us to develop inner strength and self-control, cultivating a healthier mind, establishing boundaries, and practicing self-discipline. When you offer excessive help over time, instead of being seen as authorities or collaborators, ironically, this can create the opposite impression. In this context, the lack of boundaries makes you vulnerable. People perceive this fragility, and instead of respecting you, they may begin to take advantage, using and exploiting you in various ways. They start to see you as someone who is always ready to help, always willing to take on any task without questioning. As a result, they exploit and abuse this willingness, leading to situations of exhaustion and complete frustration. When you start saying no firmly but respectfully, something surprising happens. People begin to perceive you differently. You cease to be someone willing to accept everything without questioning and become a person who values themselves enough to set limits, deserving to be treated with dignity and consideration. This change in perception is crucial because by uttering that simple word, you transform how others see you. You overcome your mental obstacles and become a strong person, capable of defending your own limits and consequently worthy of respect. Ultimately, respect comes not only from what you do for others, but also from how you treat yourself. Cicero, one of the greatest writers and Stoic philosophers of his time, already knew this truth when he told us, "What you think of yourself is much more important than what others think of you." By setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline, you send a clear message to the world. You deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Therefore, the next time you find yourself in a situation where your limits are being tested, remember the strength contained in that small word, no. By uttering it, you are defending yourself and reaffirming your own value. You will encounter many challenges as you implement these changes in your life. Our actions send messages to the world and the people around us. If you are willing to help unconditionally, it is natural for people to approach you only when they need something. This can bring challenging consequences, such as some friends who used to enjoy your company starting to exclude you from parties, social events, or small celebrations, and only remembering you in situations that require help. Consideration seems to exist only when they need a favor. This pattern of behavior may seem cruel, but from a new perspective, it is not so surprising. People usually prefer to invite close friends, family, or those with whom they maintain genuine and balanced relationships for leisure moments, excluding colleagues or collaborators. This change in how we are treated can be disconcerting and entirely unfair, but that's how it works. You find yourself in a position where you offer help with an open heart, only to feel excluded in moments of relaxation. This selective treatment can hurt, generating feelings of disillusionment and betrayal. However, from a Stoic perspective, this dynamic is a test of discernment that challenges you to recognize who truly values your friendship and appreciation, and who is merely taking advantage of your generosity. 5. We will see who our true friends are. We must pay attention to the actions, not the words of those around us. It is important to remember that Stoicism does not encourage cynicism or distrust, but rather the cultivation of a deep understanding of human nature. By practicing discernment, we can choose to help those who truly need and will appreciate our genuine support. In doing so, we preserve our energy and surround ourselves with people who value us for who we are, not just for what we can offer. Stoicism gives us tools to thrive in life by working with the mind. This challenge provides an opportunity to practice Stoic self-discipline by setting clear boundaries and deciding how to invest our energy and time. By keeping our generosity balanced and directed towards those who truly value our help, we can live according to Stoic principles, finding peace and satisfaction in the complexities of human relationships. Setting your boundaries is a simple process, but without practice, it can leave you disoriented about where to begin acting. Let's explore strategies to avoid being used by people. First, strategy. Eliminate the fear of saying no. Ask yourself what the root of your fear of saying no is. Often, this behavior has its roots in childhood, when we are repeatedly taught that if we are not nice, no one will like us. These concepts are internalized as unquestionable truths, imbued with fear and recorded in memory. However, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of introspection and continuous questioning in the pursuit of a meaningful life full of purpose. Today, we are adults with the power to make decisions about our lives. Understanding that fear was installed in childhood when you did not have the conditions to question the truth of threats frees you from these possible conditioning. Studying Stoicism, we learn tools to understand our emotions and to stop and think about our responses to life, instead of allowing instinct and habit to control them. Saying no in situations where you feel overwhelmed or when the request is unfair is a way to exercise self-control. Second strategy, pay attention to your feelings. Stoicism teaches us to pay attention to our thought processes, understand our emotions, and cultivate a healthy mind. This Stoic tool works on our self-reflection and self-awareness. When you truly pay attention to your feelings, you unlock the ability to notice whether you're giving too much of yourself, emotionally, physically, or mentally. This awareness allows you to take a step back and find a healthier balance. Ask yourself, how do I feel when I help others? Generosity should make you feel light, happy, and fulfilled, like walking on clouds. But if helping others leaves you feeling drained, overwhelmed, or even used, it's time to reflect. Don't deceive yourself. Be honest about how this impacts your well-being and make changes accordingly. Put yourself first. Let's be real. Sometimes we care about everything and everyone except ourselves. We spend time mastering the most random skills, but fail to prioritize our own health, emotions, and peace of mind. Following the Stoic principles of self-discipline and self-respect, it's vital to carve out time for yourself. Think of it this way. Stoicism helps us nurture our souls. The more we practice it, the better we become at self-care. So here's the challenge. Stop neglecting yourself. Take care of your health. Check in with your emotions. Embrace your flaws. Forgive your past mistakes and use this new year as an opportunity to hit reset. Choose an activity that's just for you, whether it's reading, walking, journaling, or something you love, and make it non-negotiable. Protect that time, set boundaries, and don't feel guilty about saying no. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Learn to spot the takers. Not everyone deserves your energy. Yes, that might sound harsh, but hear me out. There are people in life, let's call them takers, who are always demanding more. They drain you emotionally, mentally, and even financially. Whether it's constant complaints, borrowing money, or asking for endless favors, they rarely contribute anything positive in return. Here's the truth. No matter how much you try to help them, their situation is unlikely to change. Why? Because change comes from within. We can only open that door for ourselves, not for others. Staying in relationships like this is like being stuck in a parasitic dynamic where they take until you have nothing left to give. Stoicism encourages us to be kind and generous, but it also reminds us to use discernment. Balance is key. Give too little and you risk being seen as selfish, but give too much and you'll find yourself completely depleted. The goal is to strike a healthy middle ground where your kindness uplifts others without compromising your well-being. Balance generosity with wisdom. As Seneca wisely said, kindness is a treasure. A benefit should be kept like a buried treasure, unearthed only when truly needed. Think of generosity like an art form. It's about knowing when to give and when to hold back. Help those who truly need it, but don't forget your own needs in the process. When you set boundaries, you're not being selfish. You're preserving your energy for what truly matters. You're taking control of your time, your emotions, and your life. And in doing so, you're embodying the core principles of Stoicism: balance, moderation, and self-respect. Now that we've reached the end of this lesson, here's your next step. Take what you've learned today and start applying it to your daily life. And if this video inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us reach more people like you and allows us to continue creating valuable content. Let's start 2025 as stronger, wiser versions of ourselves.